Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another guide video. Boom, the new game mode for season 11. That is what we're going to talk about in today's video. There's a lot to discuss. I think a lot of this game mode is certainly misunderstood as well. So we're going to go over everything. We're going to talk about how to edit the deck. We're going to talk about the superstars. We're going to talk about what card pieces, what they actually do, board placement. We're going to talk about the leaderboard and abilities and rewards, and maybe even most importantly, the expectations that you should have when you play this game mode. Now, the first couple days of season 11, we've been streaming a lot. We've been playing this game mode a lot. A lot of players have been coming out to the streams and expressing their complaints and concerns and confusions with this game mode. And hopefully we could set the record straight, at least as of right now, and how the game mode is right now. Not gonna say they're not gonna make changes. They might make it easier. They might change this whole thing completely. I really don't know. But either way, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this game mode? Hit the thumbs up if this video does help you out. And yeah, let's jump into the basics first. We're going to look at the edit deck and we're going to explain what these pieces actually do. Now, one thing that does not change with each of these superstars is this pattern right here, this area of effect, as they call it. This black square is where you place the card, okay? And you can only place it on a piece that you can control. So on the board will be blue if you control that piece. And if you control that piece, you can place the card where this black square is. And the area of effect is going to be all of these highlighted blue squares. This is the best area of effect in the game. And each one of these superstars is going to have, or each one of these card pieces is going to have a different area of effect. It does not change when you put a specific superstar in here. The area of effect is exactly the same regardless of which superstar you put in here. So these are all of the different area of effects, and you can get these cards in your game at any random order. There are certainly a lot of area of effects and pieces that are better than other ones, and certainly ones that are a lot more impactful. This one right here, which we'll just call the boom game piece, this one is the best game piece there is. This is the one that is the most impactful. It affects every single square around wherever you place it. And it's the most game-changing. There are pieces like this piece right here. I think this is one of the worst pieces in the game because it only affects the cards behind your card. And therefore, there's very few circumstances in which this card actually has some impact in actually winning the game. But either way, just so you know, these area of effect pieces do not change. The only thing that does change in these pieces is the card power, which you see right here as Rock has 51, Eddie Guerrero has 44, Undertaker has 62. These power is going to affect per superstar, and it's only based on stats. So the higher the stat, the more power. If you have a Legion F3 Pro, it is going to have the most stats possible. If you have the LA Knight Battle Pass card, if you have that done and pro'd up and maxed out with an equipment and a momentum on it, it's going to have maximum amount of power. This enemy effect, or this effect on the card, on the squares, is going to also change per superstar. Now, each superstar is going to have a different effect. And if you look over in the abilities tab right down here, these specific superstars are going to do specific things. So Gunther and Roxanne Perez, whichever AoE effect they have. Now, you could place Gunther in the same spot that I had The Rock. You can place Gunther in the same spot that I had Eddie Guerrero or Undertaker. You can place them in any spot you want to. But whatever the AoE effect is, wherever those blue, those blue squares are, that is what is going to do 125% damage to the enemy. This 125% is based on your power. So if you have Gunther, who has 50 power overall, if he has 50 power, he is going to do 125% damage. To the enemy, it's going to be about 62 damage to the enemy, because it's whatever your power is multiplied by 125%, and that is going to be how much damage they do to the enemy. Same thing with these two. Eddie Guerrero, Jade, they're going to do minus 150 to the enemy. The Rock, Tiffany Stratton, minus 175. LA Knight and Maxine Dupree are going to give your team, players on your team, superstars on your team, 50% bonus power. So whatever LA Knight's power is, if his power was, say, 50, just for simple numbers, if LA power is 50, then he will give plus 25 to whoever the AoE effect it lands on. Same with Macho Man, Kalani Jordan, Trish Stratus, Seth Rollins. All of these have specific things that they do with the AoE effect. And like I said, you can put them anywhere. If you wanted to put Seth Rollins where The Rock was, where that little boom square is, Seth Rollins will do 100% boost to the power of every single person around that square. Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio, the ones that say all, you got to be careful with these. The ones that say all are going to affect the enemy and your player. So if you put in Cody Rhodes and one of his AoE effects lands on the enemy, you're going to be boosting the enemy's power as well as yours, as long as you land on your own one. Psycho Sid, Braun Breaker, minus 300%. So again, simple numbers here. If Braun Breaker's power is 50, then he will do 150 damage to every single person that's landed on that AoE effect. So if you put Braun Breaker in that same boom spot and he only has 50 power, then that square all the way around it, he'll do 150 damage to everybody, which means it'll kill your cards and it'll kill your opponent's cards. But you don't lose control of the square if you do kill your own cards. So if you have a superstar that's on a square, you put Braun in there, does minus 300% damage, it destroys your card, you'll still own the square just the same as your opponent's squares. You just have to put in an extra card. Now, as far as the rest of the superstars go, if it is a left-right arrow, it does damage to an enemy. If it is an up-down arrow, it does health boost to your team only. So now how do you set up your deck? Well, at least to me, and at least as far as my experience goes and what I think actually works best, getting as many superstars that is on that ability list, those 10 superstars that are on that ability list, is going to be the best ones possible. Also, specifically out of those 10, the ones that do damage at the highest percentages are going to be the ones that are most beneficial. If you have Braun Breaker at that minus 300%, putting him here where The Rock is also good. Rock is also good because he gets boost to only the enemies. He damages only enemies, not your players. But the Braun Breaker does minus 300% to everybody. But he kills everything. I mean, he basically destroys everything. So using the ones in the abilities spot, as far as damage goes, I think those are the best ones. I don't think that positive ones are that impactful, especially when you're talking about the later rounds. Is there a reason to sandbag in this? I think that's a big question that a lot of people ask. And no, it is not. You do not want to sandbag in this. And I'm going to tell you why when we talk about, the actual streaks itself. But I put mostly damage to enemies in my deck. With the exceptions to one like this, plus 13, it goes behind, when you place the card. You're not going to be damaging enemies behind you. So that time, you put a plus. I have a couple other cards, for plus, just for the sake of not having enough cards. I have a couple that have plus. But, when we optimize this deck completely, almost all of these are going to be damage to enemies. And almost all of these are going to try to get from the ability spot. I've been looking for, say, Brawn Breaker in Ink, in Invasion, in Feral, in Legion tier. I don't know which of those tiers he's in, but if you can find Brawn Breaker in there, level him all the way up, you have full pros, you have whatever. He's going to give massive amounts of power, and he's going to do massive amounts of damage. And I think that he is really, really good for that, especially the Rock as well. So as many duplicates as you can to put in here, I think those are going to be the best. Now let's talk about the streaks. Streaks reset every day at reset. For me, that is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And these packs are going to change every single time. And I think a lot of people have figured out that when you start your streak at 1, it is really, really easy. The AI algorithm and their gameplay, they basically let you win. They put in the cards with the AoE effects that do not affect the board. They basically make really stupid moves, and they make sure that you are going to win the match. It's the same with 2. It's the same with the same with 3. And then it starts to get more difficult when you get to 4 and 5 and 6. You'll start to notice that the AI plays a lot smarter, and they seem to have the right AoE effects to control the board. And one thing that you'll also notice if you've been, able to get towards the end, that the difficulty and the power of your opponents goes up once you get to 7, 8, 9, 10. It is going to get to a point where, depending on how strong your cards are, they could be 2 to 3 to 4 times as strong as your cards. When you get here to 11, they're going to be full Legion pros. They're going to be full Legions, and they are going to have power of 150 and 200. And it does not matter what you have in your deck. Okay? If you have 50, 60, 70 power, it's not balanced for your deck. This is set up like campaign. And I think that a lot of people need to start thinking about it in that aspect. When you play campaign, the higher you go, the more difficult it is, the stronger the cards are. And there's nothing you can do about it except beat those cards with better cards. You have to get better cards. And this is the same way. This is the exact same way. It's set up exactly the same. And so as you're getting to 8, 9, 10, 11, the card power of them is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's going to be really, really difficult for people to beat Streak 11 if you don't have really, really strong cards. So I think that you need to change your frame of mind in how you view this game mode. It's more like a campaign, and the difficulty level is going to ramp up like a campaign, and it's going to be really hard to beat. So then you might say, well, why do I even want to play it? Well, you can get to Streak 5, 6, 7, 8 pretty consistently if you have just a regular Inferno deck. Like, I'm still using Inferno. I still haven't leveled up any single card from Season 11. I'm still using Inferno, and I've made it all the way to Streak 9. And granted that when I made it to Streak 9, they had a power of 150, which is 3 times as much as mine. But if you have the right strategy, you get the right cards, then you could block them off and you could still win. But I didn't finish it all the way. But these rewards are well worth playing. They change every single day. You do get really good rewards. And just like in campaign, even if you can't get the campaign card, even if you can't get the live, even if you can't get the rock, it's still worth playing campaign for the rewards that are in it, even if you can't finish it. I've never finished campaign, but I've still played campaign as much as I can to get as many crystals as I can, to get as many pros as I can. And the rewards in this game mode are still worth playing every day. Leaderboards. Now, while it doesn't say how many total points we have, total score, I think leaderboards are based on total score. And that means, and this is a very common mistake that I have seen in a lot of people, not only mentioned in chat, but even other people that, talk about this game mode, where they say accept surrender. Never, ever, ever accept surrender, because leaderboard rewards, at least by all appearances, is based on total score. And so when you know you're going to win and you have complete control over the board, you want to get as many points as possible. That is your best chance to move up the leaderboard, because how it looks is that every single round you play, however many total points you get, that is going to be added to the leaderboard of Boom. And so you're going to want to get the most points as possible. Now, again, they do not have where your rank is or your total points is. That's certainly a huge oversight by people that make this game, right? By Cat Daddy. And I'm assuming that they're going to put it in eventually. But if you look at these rewards right here, we're not going to get top 50. We're not going to get probably top 500. But realistically, I think, it's 1 to 5,000 is a reasonable thing to aim for. And getting 250 credits containing 2 cards right here, I think it is well worth doing. Even the gold, well worth doing. You get, 80 credits and a bunch of cards. I think that every single game you play is going to be critical. And so even if you lose, you go back to the very first streak. And it's really easy, and you can maximize how many points you get, and you can move up on the leaderboard. And so I would do that. That's what I would do. If you look at, this guy right here, Hearts, he has the maximum amount of points. Look at his deck. It is full of Legion pros. And why is that? Well, why is he so high? I mean, obviously, the higher you get in streaks, the better the cards have to be in order to defeat it. Now, a lot of people also didn't know this. Just scroll left or right to do male or female, and either one will work. It doesn't matter which one you do, just based on, whatever cards you have for the most abilities, whatever deck is better for you. I'm assuming 90%, 95% of all people, it's going to be for males, because the higher the power, the stronger the card. And most people have better males than they do females. So I'm going to assume that most people are going to just play on the male side. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about strategy at least a little bit here and give you a, play-by-play analysis of what we have. And like I said, that in the very beginning on streak 1, you're going to get cards that is really easy for you to win with. And they're going to play cards in which they let you win, basically. There is an algorithm in here that determines how skillful they are and what, AoE effects they get when they play their hand, okay? And as you get on further along in your streak, the power is going to go up, and their ability to place the right card in the right spot to control the board is going to be the most important. As you progress in your streaks, the most important thing in this game mode is control the squares. Not defeat the opponent, but control the squares. If they place a card that has 150 power right here and the 2 red open squares, the thing that is dangerous is the open squares, not the 150 power card. The 150 power card can't do anything. The open squares is what you're going to lose by. So you need to focus on controlling the open squares and blocking them from being able to control open squares. And so that's the best strategy and approach that I can give you when you start. Now here, we do have our boom to start with, but I don't want to play that at least in the beginning, just because how useful it is later on. You know, sometimes you do want to play those that do give you, you know, the most squares possible, the most control over the board, but it is the best AoE effect in the game. So I'm going to hold off on that. We're going to try to push up a little bit. You know, he's going to, you know, he does it. He plays the card. We're only on 5 right now. So they're not going to play, you know, they're not going to play a crazy, you know, crazy good, right? They're not going to play absolutely amazing. And I can tell you already that this game is over just by right now. And how do I know it's over? Well, because you see the Undertaker right here. He has a AoE effect that goes up, to the right, to the left, and down. And when I place this card right here, he is going to control the one that's up, and it's going to turn from red to blue, and then the one to the right, and that's going to, you know, turn red to blue. And so once he does that, then that leaves them to be able to only play in one spot. And that's the upper right-hand corner. That's the only place that he can play a card, because you can only play cards on squares that you can control. And no matter what his AoE effect is, he can only control a card that is, you know, basically touching the red square. And so the best he can do after he places, you know, after I place my card here, the best he can do is control these 2 squares right here. This card will already have a card on it. So worst case scenario, he controls these 2 right here, but then I play my rock card right here and it'll control everything. And so I already know right now that the game is over. So he can play there. He can control these 2 if he wants to. You know, it doesn't really matter. He only controlled 1, but again, it doesn't matter because I have the rock. Since he didn't control this one, I'm actually going to just change it to just that card right there so I could control this one up here. And then I'm going to place the rock. And then he's going to knock out everything up there. And so now that we got the whole board clear, okay, a lot of people will say, accept surrender. But you don't want to accept surrender because this, you know, 267 points, that is all that would bank towards the leaderboard. Well, you want more points than that, right? You want to have maximum amount of points. You want to get these points as high as possible. And so the best thing to do is just to fill out the entire board. Get all these cards on the board, get the maximum amount of points possible, and that way you can move up the leaderboard. All right, now we're on streak 5, and we're just going to keep going until we, until we die. Sometimes you're going to die sometimes you're going to die on streak 1. Sometimes you're going to die. Well, you shouldn't die on streak 1. Actually, you should be able to make it to, 2, 3 pretty consistently. 4, maybe once in a while you die. Streak 5, 6, you should be able to make pretty consistently if you, understand how this game mode works. But then after that, like I said, the AI will seem to they'll seem to get the right AoE effects and place the cards in the right spot, and and their power will go up, and it'll be increasingly difficult for you to be able to block them off, because you have to get the right cards. And this card right here, this Damian Priest, is literally the card I hate the most in the game. And we seem to get this all the time at the very beginning, because you put this in here and it only affects the cards that behind it. And you want to be able to push forward. The objective is to control the squares. And you seem to pick this up a lot. And that's not by coincidence. It's by design. And they designed this game mode to make it difficult the later you go on. And so don't be surprised if you don't get the right cards and the opponent gets the perfect cards, like right there. Again, how many times when you play this game mode do they have this where the Undertaker is? That's what this card was right here. They place the Undertaker. It controls all 3 of those squares in front of it. They get that a lot. They play that first a lot. You just have to get used to the fact that, well, that's just how the computer plays it. And we're going to play the Undertaker there. We're going to try to block off all these. They're going to place one there. They only controlled one back and one to the right. So that's actually really useful or really helpful for us in a way. We can really only go, you know, we only really have two options, I guess. We could go to the left side. We could go to the right side. The most important thing in this game is to move forward. You want to move forward, and you see the power of your opponent. You know, we're only on, I think we're on 5 right now. They're already stronger than, getting to be stronger than I am. So you need to decide, which one of these is going to be, are you going to take the chance on the left? Are you going to take a chance on the right? So that's going to be, kind of up to you. I'm going to use that one just because I have a fallback, to open that square up at the same time. And hopefully that we can control this left side. And they don't do it like that. We could, though, on the other hand, we have this Apollo right here. We could place it there. And what will happen is we'll control this, which means the only squares that he can play on are these two right here. And we just have to hope that once he plays this square right here, that he doesn't have some sort of boom to control all of these squares here. A lot of times it's just going to be dependent on what your opponent gets. And that one right there, he did boost up his, but this one is very good. Like, this is totally fine right now. This is good because all we have to do is control this square right here. Once we control this square, then the only place that he can play is this square, and the game is over. We boxed him in. We boxed him in and prevented him from moving forward. And the only card I can play forward is LA Knight, so I'm going to place that there. He has to place it here, and then once he places it there, then game is over. Another thing that a lot of people, I think, don't understand in this game mode is how total points are calculated. Total points are calculated if you win the column. Okay, you see these scores right here? He has 58, he has 49. This is the score per column. Right now, he is winning the column. He has 58 points in this column. I only have 49. So he gets 58 points. I get 0. Okay, it doesn't matter that it shows 49. I actually get 0 for that column. The middle column, I have 165. He has 152. I get 165. He gets 0 for this column. So that's why I have 165 points. Last column, he has 122. I have 58. He gets 122 points for this column, while I get 0. So that's how the points are calculated. And so as you're placing squares, just keep in mind, that you want to beat the opponent in at least 2 columns. You can lose a column. It's totally fine. He can rack up as many points on one single side of the board. If you control 2 columns, you'll get points for 2 columns, and most of the time you will win as long as you can control 2 columns. So we're going to continue to fill this out. We're going to try to eliminate some of these squares right here. We really, really would like to get our boom, which we haven't gotten it yet. If we can get our boom in the next couple, we can certainly destroy all of these cards right here, open up the board quite a bit. And it should be coming, actually, right now, actually, because there was only 1 square left, or 1 piece left. And, we got it at the last square. Well, no, I guess there's 2 more. There's 2 more squares that we're going to get. But either way, now that we got the whole board cleared, we can do the same thing and just fill out the whole board, get as many points as possible. All right, let's keep going. We're on streak 6 now. And like I said, just keep in mind that as your win streak is improving, okay, the difficulty of the cards, the power of your opponent is going to increase every single time. The abilities, the AoE effects that they get are going to be better every single time. It's going to seem like as you are increasing your streak, they place the squares in the right spot because you know what? That's just what the algorithm is. They give them the proper square. They tell them how to play it. And it makes it really, really difficult. It's not impossible. It's not like, oh, you're never going to win or do anything like that. Again, same exact thing, right? Same exact thing. Like most games they've played and the games that we've recorded, you know, they play these 3 squares right here, just right out the jump. It seems like they have them instantly. We're going to play the Undertaker. We're going to try to get these squares. We got to hope that he doesn't play right here. But at this point, you know, a lot of times they do. He played one that was in the 4 corners. So he controlled this one, this one, this one, and this one. And this is the good spot for us. This is a great spot for us to be able to use the Undertaker or for the Rock, because he is going to boom. And even though we're destroying only 1 card, and some people might say, well, don't waste it yet. It's all about board control. You have to control as many squares as possible, as fast as possible, because it can snowball really, really quick. Their ability to control squares gets to be out of control. And so now, again, right here, they have only 2 squares to place. Don't worry about defeating these opponents yet. Worry about board control. And so you have to decide, you know, which square do you want to try to control first? Do you want to try to block them off over here? Or do you want to block them off right here? It's a risk either way, but just for the simple fact that I am going to try to take off some health of one of the opponents, I'm just going to place it right here. And I'm just going to hope that, you know, whatever card they have there doesn't attack him and destroy him. So he boomed me, which is fine. You know, that's totally cool. He boomed me. He controls this 1 square now. And now which is totally fine. I mean, it doesn't matter, because this play that I have right now, as long as I can control that 1 square, he can't move anymore. So I'm going to place Dragunov there. I'm going to destroy, you know, boom on one of their guys. We're going to control the final square. He has no red squares left, which means that he cannot play anywhere else, and we win. So far, like I said, my record is I've only made it to 9. And when I did make it to 9 with these cards right here, my cards are only in the 50s and 60s because I only have Infernos. Inferno decks are my, you know, my best ones, because I don't level up cards. I haven't leveled up cards yet. And so even at Streak 9, you know, they get 150 power cards. And the only way to win those is to block them off as fast as possible and to get lucky with the cards you have. So we're going to start the same way that we did before. We're going to move 1 square here. Then we're going to place the Undertaker to control these squares. And he did not get one that controls all 4 of these, but that's fine. We're going to do that one. Hopefully he doesn't control this middle one, because that's the one that's most important for us, you know, just like last time. If you can get to this middle square right here and you have the boom, then you can control all of these squares. Now you have an option, right? I could place the Undertaker here and you see that it'll control 2 squares. But it'll leave that square in the top right up there. You know, this one right here, I'll leave that one red. And I just want to get rid of as many squares as possible to control as many as possible, as fast as possible. You control them fast, you block them off so they don't have any options, then you win the game. So right here, perfect. You know, we don't have to attack Drew. We don't have to attack Julius. All we need to do is control these 2 squares right here, and the game is over. That means he doesn't have any other place to go. And we have the Undertaker for that. Boom. Now, I will say, though, that the match sometimes doesn't go this well a lot of times, because you might not get the correct cards. You might not get the correct AoEs for the specific situation. That happens a lot. I don't want you to think that it's like a skill issue, or that sometimes you could place them in the wrong spot, and that is very common. And sometimes I make those mistakes and don't think about controlling the board or things like that. But a lot of times, you know, it's just about the fact that they didn't give you the right card, and the card that they gave you just wasn't good enough to control the board fast enough, and it just snowballed, and they basically, I don't want to say cheated and won, but almost to a point where they give them the correct cards to beat you, and you just have to live with it and start over. So now we're on streak 8. We do have a reward pack that opened up. We're going to claim this. We got an invasion undisputed, which is nice. We also got a second wind invasion, which is absolutely amazing. Look at that XP. It's only 532. It obviously is not as much as it would be if you pulled it off the board. I am still invasion tier, so if that would have been a pull on the board, it would have been, you know, a couple thousand that I would have got. But with these packs, it's based on the pack itself, so you're always going to get 532. But those cards help. I mean, those cards help. And now that we're on streak 9, this streak 9 is only going to contain one feral, and that naked cross would be absolutely amazing to get. And so, you know, we're going to give it a shot. But like I said, once you make it this far, you know, you make it on streak 9, you make it on streak 8, the cards become difficult. They did do a, you know, like I said, they did patch it to where they made it a little bit easier. And you could tell by that last round at streak 8, the cards weren't as strong, but they still are getting stronger. Now, what do we want to do here? Well, they didn't give us the best cards. Again, we stuck with this Damian Priest. This is a very common pull at the beginning. It gives you this all the time because it is literally the worst AoE effect. It is the worst card in the game. We're going to go with the center. This way we could use either Dominic or Jay and get these two right here. We could use Eddie Guerrero and pull out these corners right here. Again, they picked a card where they got all 3 squares. It's a very, very common occurrence. You're not going to tell me that it's by chance or by random that they're getting these cards every single time. It's not. No. The computer knows that those are the best. It's the best way to start the game. And so it's going to give it that card almost most of the time, almost every time. So you just have to accept that it cheats a little bit, you know, kind of rigs the deck in a little bit if they control that middle square right here. But if I put in Eddie Guerrero, it's the left and the right. So even though they might control one of them, at least I'll have the other side to get and control if they do control one of them. So that's why we're going to go with Eddie Guerrero. All right, now after our short interruption for maintenance, whatever that was about, but we're going to continue. At least it didn't delete and make us, well, that's actually very, very convenient for them. So they just played a square that was absolutely perfect for that particular situation. They played exactly what we played to block out exactly what we did and the strategy that we had. Kind of go figure, right? Because that's the way sometimes it happens when it comes to this particular game mode. They're going to have the cards, the perfect cards for the perfect situation. And yeah, now we're definitely in a bad spot. They have really good cards, obviously, and they have played absolutely perfect cards. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they just boomed right now and just sealed it up for completely. You know, we're not, at least so far, we haven't gotten the best, cards for what we want. You know, we could really use a boom. That would really, really be helpful. But, you know, are we going to get that? I don't know. The only thing we could do is either move here or move here. I'm going to try to take the middle one just so I can prevent them from taking that one. So I'm going to go to that middle one. Hopefully they don't take that. And they did. So the only thing that we can hope for is to be able to take this one and then take the middle one. And then hopefully they don't play anything there and take that one. So if they do, then it's over. If not, we obviously really need our boom. If we don't get our boom, then it's going to make it really, really difficult. And it might not even matter at this point because it's 109. Like even our boom isn't going to, even our boom's not going to seal it for us. And they did. They took that and game is over. So, you know, they played it, I mean, as good as you could do it. And all their card stats, absolutely you know, amazing, and they got the absolute perfect AoEs to counter every single move that we made. And so, yeah, now start over. So do cards matter? Yes. Is this a pay to win game mode? Yes. It is almost just like campaign, in which you're not going to be top tier successful. You're not going to get through the win streaks if you don't have the best cards. Don't get it twisted. Don't let anybody else try to convince you otherwise, that it's about setting up your deck or having a strategy. Is there some strategy to it? Yes, there is some strategy. Now, is it better if I have the cards with the abilities like the Rock and Braun Breaker in some of these? Yes. But is that going to guarantee yourself a win? No, it is not. You need to have the best cards. You need to have Legion pros. You need to have Feral pros. You need to have cards with really high stats to get really high power in order to get really high abilities. And if you don't, and if you have regular cards like these just basic Inferno cards or basic Inferno pros, the only way to win is by blocking off your opponent and just sealing the victory that way. But as you saw, they get the perfect AoE sometimes to counter every single move you make and make it impossible for you to win. But either way, hopefully this video helped, and hopefully it gave you a better idea of not only how to set up the deck, but what you can expect from the deck or from this game mode. Think about it more like campaign. And most people don't get campaign done. I have never completed campaign in my life, but campaign is very, very good game mode to get very good resources. This is still a good game mode. And any person with Inferno-based cards can get to streak 8 or 9. You know, once in a while, I'm sure I'm going to hit 11 just by hitting a lucky streak with the right cards, with the right AoE to be able to block them off perfectly. And then you'll have games like that last one where they get the perfect cards to block you off and therefore not letting you, you know, win the game and not giving you the AoEs that you need. Like we needed the Rock, we needed our Boom, but we didn't get it and therefore we lost. When is Leaderboard gonna get fixed? I don't know. Hopefully it gets fixed soon, at least before these rewards come out. Leaderboard payout 15 days. We got 2 weeks left. Where am I? I've been playing quite a bit of this. I've been playing quite a bit. And with the amount that I've been playing, and I don't accept surrender, because you shouldn't accept surrender either, because you want the most points possible to climb the leaderboard as much as possible to get the highest pack possible. And, you know, when will that come out? I don't know. But either way, hopefully I covered everything. Let me know in the comments if I did miss anything as far as strategy goes. You know, like I said, it's just all about controlling squares. Just control the squares. Don't worry about knocking out the opponent until the end. Control the squares, block them off. Use minus. Use the ones that do damage to enemies the most. Use the ones that are in these abilities as well. The ones that are in these abilities. Set up your best cards with the best ability, like the Rock right here. You know, if I had a Braun Breaker that was good, I would have put him right here with that minus 300%. If Braun Breaker had 51 power, the minus 300% would put all to minus 153. It'd be 153 damage. And with that boom, I could destroy all those cards that were over 100 in the last one that I played. And so, you know, filling it up with Braun Breaker is really, really useful. You could probably do it with Inferno cards if all of yours were Braun Breaker. Do you have that many? I don't have any. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments how this worked for you, and hopefully I see everybody in the next video. And like I said, if I left anything out, let me know. And hopefully I covered everything and y'all got a better idea of how this game mode works, what to expect from it, and how to actually play it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.